Hello. Hi. So I'm going to talk to you today about the Australian Packaging Covenant 4.0. We had a new strategic plan signed off in December. I'm new in my role in the Packaging Covenant, about 7 weeks in now, so it's appropriate for... Please forgive me if I refer to notes. So let's talk a little bit about how we got to here and the history of the Packaging Covenant. Having a background in product stewardship, I've in some way been either required to be compliant with the Packaging Covenant or associated with them for some time. And they are one of the more well-established product stewardship organisations in Australia, along with Drum Muster and and Mobile Muster as well. So this is the fourth iteration of the Packaging Covenant. Usually it works on a 5-year plan. So the first one was in 1996, and that was developed from the Australian New Zealand Environment and Conservation Council, endorsed the first National Packaging Covenant, and it was created to address problems being experienced with the management and disposal of used packaging and paper. And there's also a paper product stewardship initiative which deals with that, but this was about the broader packaging issues, and particularly about curbside and the curbside recycling system and how to manage packaging through that. And it was established on the basis of a voluntary participation. Yes, Mike, one of those pesky voluntary product stewardship organisations. and operating in the packaging supply chain. So that was the first 5 years, and it was like APC 1.0, if you like. 2.0 kicked off in 2005 and went through to 2010. And this was a revised covenant focused on building the recycling infrastructure needed to deal with packaging and incorporating the outcomes of a very extensive review that was undertaken in 2004. Then it moved into 3.0, which was in 2010 to 2015, and that was the third covenant, which was an ongoing arrangement supported by another 5-year strategic plan and reported against annually. It set very clear goals around packaging design, and it was one of the times where we really started to focus on the design element within packaging and sustainability. So it was focused on the workplace and public place recycling, and especially around litter reduction. And you'll note as we go through and talk about 4.0 going forward, the focus is much broader now for the Packaging Covenant than it was previously, where there was a lot of focus around litter, and a lot of the projects that came from the Packaging Covenant went down that pathway. They also, in the 3.0 was where the packaging guidelines, the sustainable packaging guidelines were replaced the environmental code of practice for packaging, which were incorporated into the covenant. So, as I said, we signed off a new 4.0 in December last year. It came into effect on January 1. And we had some changes within the organisation as well. We are now the Australian Packaging Covenant Organisation Limited. We are registered as a not-for-profit under the ACNC, and we've got a brand new 5-year plan. We'd like to tell you all about it. So, if I can move forward, we can do that. So this is our strategic plan. As you can see, it is a lot broader than just the mere focus on litter, and it's comprised of 3 key pillars. The first one being use resources wisely. So that's focusing on this stream, circular economies, and sustainable design. The second pillar is about less packaging to landfill, and that's both direct action in terms of less landfill, and also looking to inform consumers and educate them to encourage the recyclability of packaging and, again, reduce landfill. The third pillar is industry leadership, and that has some interesting work for us to do going forward around the area of takeaway meals and how packaging is designed to be sustainable for takeaway food containers and outlets, and the very important area of the knowledge centre. It's one of the things that, as a product stewardship coming into their 4th, 5th year, so coming up to the 20-year mark. We're very much about learning, sharing and innovating from what we've done and what we've learnt and how we could do things better and hopefully do things even more effectively in the future. So our focus today is around the circular economies, and I would give you another definition, but I'm guessing by this stage you've had all of Ellen's, MacArthur's and everybody else's, so I won't give you another definition for circular economies, but that's the context of this discussion today, and just more than anything else to take this opportunity to let you all know about the Packaging Covenant and the work that we're doing going forward. And in that, let me talk to you a little bit more about these strategic pillars. So, the first one being around sustainable design. So we have a focus on the life cycle approach to sustainable design in packaging, very much about creating something that has a known end life and has a known trajectory. Where is it going to end up? How is it going to be recycled? How is it going to be reused? How is it going to impact whatever the packaging is meant to be containing? I mean, packaging is a fascinating area. It's basically pick a sector and you package something. There was a bit of a debate about that the other day with some a conversation we were having internally, and the point was made, well, when was the last time you carried something home in your hand? Not often, maybe a sweet potato or something, or veggies, but you know, pretty much everything comes in packaging. And it's a great thing about being involved in an organisation like this and having a role like this is the actual impact that you can have in a very real way, and that's what the Packaging Covenant is doing when we're focusing on design. We're looking at it not only where it ends up, but how it got to that point, what are the impacts, that whole life cycle approach. Okay, so in terms of circular economies, probably within the Packaging Covenant, the biggest impact we can have is around our projects. Traditionally, the Packaging Covenant has funded public projects. That's something that we're taking a very different path on now, and we're really looking at aligning any kind of support, partnership or work that we do going forward with our strategic pillars, and importantly within a circular economic context, and very much about making sure that waste, what has traditionally been seen as waste products in that packaging stream, is seen as resources. And it's also about us as an organisation understanding where our intervention points are, how we can assist our members. The Packaging Covenant has approximately just shy of 1,000 members. It's one of, if not the largest membership-based product stewardship organisations in Australia. So we have a massive reach and a great capability to share the knowledge that we have learned, and we feel that it's part of our role is about understanding how we can assist our members and how we can assist industry in having more sustainable packaging options. And you know, the focus, there's some very popular issues right now, things around coffee cups and soft plastics. I mean, soft plastics is two very short words that have a very big reach and encompasses a lot of material streams. But it's they're two of the things that are kind of focus areas for us now. And it's also about facilitating those relationships with an organisation that's been around for coming up to the 16-year mark now. We have developed a lot of relationships across all the different sectors, be that recycling, product stewardship, waste management, technology, and it's about how we facilitate and engage with our members and with industry to drive these initiatives as well. So we're very much at this stage in terms of when we're talking about circular economies and what we can do, we're very much about identifying those problematic materials and finding solutions. I mean, you'd all know that there is a lot of solutions for paper recycling and glass, and they're pretty standard fare these days. But even within those material streams, there are specific problems. Like if you look at glass, coloured glass is still an issue. How do we deal with it? Fines are an issue, all these kind of things. So something that has been in that category of being able to be recycled for a very long time, actually even now currently still has a lot of fundamental issues and, you know, they're too hard to deal with. So they're the kind of things that we're really trying to tackle now. We've done a lot of the foundational work over the years, and the Packaging Covenant has done some fantastic work in terms of, you know, getting things to where they are at this stage. And now it's really about saying, well, what are the really difficult things that are challenging us and challenging our members and industry and our communities, and how can we and where can we intervene and assist to drive improvements in that packaging stream. One of the ways in which we're looking at doing that is through consumer labelling. So this can be, especially in a room of waste professionals, it can be a slightly contentious issue about labelling and how it works and the various different labels, and you've got local, you know, as in Australia, New Zealand, then you've got global, and how does that work with global brands? It's not an easy answer, but it is a solution that we feel is important to providing consumers with the information they need to more effectively reduce you know, what's going to landfill, and to make sure that if it can be recycled, it is being recycled. So we're currently looking at that scheme, a scheme for that, and how that would work and how we could make it work. So we're looking at a recyclable label and, that would be me, and a tool, an online tool to go with that. So that would be the alarm going on. A little bit about the the landfill and how we're doing that as well. So for us, it's about, if you can imagine, we've got 1,000 members, and some of these are the biggest global brands here based in Australia, right down to the SME size. What that means in terms of data is we have a massive wealth of information from which we are now developing new ways to measure and new metrics so that we can inform and identify issues to really drive improvements in the landfill reduction area and you know, sustainable packaging as well. It just means that if we are able to create and drive the information flow, the knowledge that comes from that will enable us to really pinpoint those intervention points and really drive home some very solid results in this area. Another area that we're looking at is takeaway meals. So what we're looking to do here, and what we've recognised in the feedback we've received from our members, is around looking for alternatives for sustainable packaging for takeaway food. That picture there probably displays the most obvious packaging in that space, but when you are actually talking about that, you're not only talking about takeaway outlets. You know, if you go into Coles these days and you go to the hot chicken section, you'll see that on the bottom shelf they have takeaway containers with a single chicken leg or nuggets or something like that, so a single meal. So even in that retail space, we're starting to see now a need to address this takeaway packaging issue. So it's actually a lot broader and a lot bigger an issue than people initially realise. So for us, it's about looking at how we can tap into that and how we can provide sustainable packaging solutions. And one of the most important things that we're doing is, as I mentioned earlier on, our ability to share the knowledge that we've gained through the previous 3 iterations of the Packaging Covenant. And in doing that, what we're doing right now is currently developing a new annual reporting and action plan program, which is based around driving some of that data and knowledge through the metrics that we've talked about. So it's a whole new framework, it's a whole new approach. Personally, it's a massive task, but it will be absolutely wonderful when it's complete. And that will be an online tool that allows our members to report back in and allows us to capture data and convert that into valuable knowledge that will drive the environmental benefit and impacts that we are capable of doing. We're also introducing a brand new CMS system that will manage the unwieldy 1,000 members and all of their data and interactions and knowledge, and give them the capability to share amongst themselves. So I think we're pretty much run out of time, but just quickly I'll finish. So just a few of the things that we've done in the last 6 months and well, this year really, in terms of improving the engagement and the way that APC works with our members and the industry. So we had a think tank earlier on this year, which was very much, it was a one-day think tank, and we talked all about circular economy and life cycle design. We brought together some really clever people and some international speakers, and we put a white paper together, and these are some of the kind of activities that the packaging covenant is going to do more of going forward. A much more increased engagement level with both our members, industry, and the people that we work with. Also, as I said, we've got the new CMS coming in. We're also doing what we refer to as capacity building sessions over the next 6 months with all of our members. So that's going out and actually being on site with members and bringing big groups of 40 and 50 people and talking about all the things that we're doing. So our engagement is very much different to what it has been previously, and we're very excited about the future of the APC 4.0. So just to finish up, it's all about, for us, it's all about innovation, influence and inspiring, and that's what we're looking to do and hoping to achieve as we move forward. Thank you very much.
We have time, I think, for 1 or 2 questions.
Hey.
Hi, Brad.
I suppose one of my questions to you, which I suspect you might know where it's going to come from, is the Australian recycling label already exists on it, more than 1,000 products in stores, Officeworks, Blackmores. I talked about it at a conference more than 2 years ago. Councils were very excited about it then. I suppose my question is, why is the APC looking to develop a different one when one already exists in stores?
It's not that we're looking to develop something different. What we're actually trying to understand, I think first of all, let me say, what we really want to do is recognise the importance of the labelling scheme and of the benefit it can have and the ability to drive a positive environmental impact by having consumers better informed. Where we are at this stage is understanding about your label, about other labels, we are looking globally to see what's happening internationally as well. So it's about understanding what the options are and then finding a path forward. And that may very well be a partnership with an existing scheme or another organisation. It may be developing something entirely new. Right now, today, that's not something that we can make a call on, but what we are making a call on is saying, it's really important that consumers understand and have knowledge, and we think one of the best ways to communicate that is through a label. How that will pan out at the end of the day, we will wait and see. Still more work to be done.
Any other questions? I have one.
Tom Penny from Telstra.
Hi, Tom.
Hi. So I'm interested in kind of the change in funding model that the APC has gone through and how that might relate down to members, but in particular kind of taking the perspective of some of the new pillars that are starting to have a sector focus.
Some of the new, sorry.
The pillars that you're talking about in the new strategy are having a sector focus like takeaway meal or something.
Yeah, and that's a piece of work that we're doing. I did mention just previously the new annual reporting and action plans that we're doing. In the development of that, what we've recognised is we've developed some very generic metrics that will apply to most packaging, but we have had to do work, and we're going through that process now of actually tailoring to particular sectors. As I said previously, the thing with packaging is it touches every sector, and it's so broad that it can be quite hard to have a generic application. So we recognise that there are, and I think probably an example of that would be you may have the food industry, and then you would have like the packaging manufacturer, right? They're going to have different metrics. So what we've had to do is develop a largely generic platform and then tailor that to certain, the framework to certain sectors to make it apply. But, that's part of getting this right and developing that. And in the end, we're just going to have some very valuable information. So, and the question in terms of the funding model, so for projects or for membership? Well, it hasn't changed. We've still got the same membership structure fee that we've had up to date, and that's based, any organisation that has a packaging spend and has a gross annual revenue of more than $5 million does have to comply with the NEPM, and the NEPM is that they either have to be a member of the Packaging Covenant or they have to find a way to report to every state and territory independently within Australia, for which there really realistically isn't an alternative now. But the Packaging Covenant is a fantastic organisation, and there is a compliance part to the Packaging Covenant, but we would hope that it becomes more about the value that we can add, and that's why we're doing all the work that we are, and it's all about the new 4.0.